Hello, everyone. I love you guys. Thank you for being patient. We are going to get started once and for all, and this is wonderful. So, I'm Carolyn Goodridge. I'm the executive director and founder of Art Impact International. We are a nonprofit organization that is going strong since 2015. Many of you that are here have been with us since the beginning. Thank you for your support. Some of you are very new, so you got a lot of good things to see. And we're going to go through the Juneteenth 2024 Artist Talk and Gallery Tour number 3. So this exhibit is going to be going on from June all the way until December, because we feel Freedom Day is always every day, right? So we're going to have the exhibit up. And just so you know, you can always take a screenshot. The artists who are exhibiting always can take a screenshot of the gallery that's digital, right? You could take a screenshot and just share that photo with your friends, your social media, and just let them know what you stand for. Okay. All right. And this is our official webpage for the exhibit. It's the artimpactinternational.org/Juneteenth 2024. Okay, right. So we are going to listen to Marsha. Marsha, please tell us a little bit about yourself as an artist, and then we'll get into the artwork.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to be here with you all today. I am Marsha Neal, and I live in a little small southern town in southeastern United States, and born and raised here. Actually, we travel some. My father was in service, and we traveled some, and I got the opportunity to live in Portugal for a while, and also moved to California, lived in New York, lived all around actually, but then we came back here when he retired, and this is where we've been since then. I actually, when I went to college, I studied science, economics and healthcare management. And not too long ago in 2014, I got really, really sick. I almost passed because I had a heart condition that we didn't know about, and it flared up and some things went wrong. And I have a friend that I'd known for years, and she'd always tell me, come, let's go paint. Let's go paint the pot, paint the pot. And I says, when I was young, I didn't want to do that. And, that's not that just doesn't appeal to me. I don't think I can do any artwork. And lo and behold, I got there and found out I do have an inkling of artistic ability, and was so happy to be able to bloom, as you might say, late bloomer, quite late bloomer, into expressing myself and putting my feelings on canvas. Now, I do several types of artwork. I paint, as well as contemporary art. I do pours. And what I like the most is to do constructed work on canvas. And when I say constructed work, I use tree bark, I use elements, natural elements to create artwork. And in this particular piece, this is one of my earlier pieces. This one I completed in 2019. And I labeled it Misery. Misery because so many people are hurting inside, and you may not see it on the outside, but this is what a person might feel like on the inside when that's happening. And to link this piece is acrylic, and it's created through Zentangle lines. I have taken a few art courses. I don't have a degree in art, but I have taken a few. When I found out I could do a few things, I wanted to get better at it. These are Zentangle lines, and out of those lines, this face appeared to me. And I finished it all up, and that's when I said, this looks like misery. The way this ties into our exhibit with Juneteenth. You've heard of tears of joy and tears of sadness, and they are very close together. When a person hears that they are free from bondage, free from being treated less than a human, free to be able to move out and live about the world on their own without someone else managing them as a person, then you have the exuberant tears of joy. At the same time, before that happened, there were tears of misery, bondage, always feeling or being afraid that this child that you're carrying may not stay with you because it's going to be sold off. You'll never see that child again, or even battered to death, depending upon what type of slave owner you were living with. But then again, when Juneteenth came around and my people in the South found out that we were free, then these became tears of joy. At the same time, I don't know how many people understand or know about what's called Jim Crow law. At the same time, a few years after that, Jim Crow law came about. And still, individuals were dehumanized. But what we see in this picture, and I don't know if you can see them, there's little rhinestones in the picture.
Yeah.
That would be our glimmer of hope. That as we continue to thrive, and I'm gonna tell you, we're not going anywhere. As we continue to thrive, we will continue to hope, and we will continue to be. And the tears might still come and go because things will keep coming and going. When things look as if they're going to be well for the other way, we're still going to have our hope.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well said. Well said. Thank you. And the next one, the bridge. This one.
Yes. The bridge. I used to work at Duke University Hospital. I was a director of one of the clinics there. And one day I decided, well, I'm going to go and visit the garden here. It's called Sarah P. Duke Garden. And I went into that garden and I thought, well, they have several different gardens. So you can't just do the whole garden in one day. You have to do this garden, that kind of thing. So I went to the Asian section. And I thought, oh, this bridge is beautiful. I just got across it. So I went all the way around the water, went to the back, and I crossed over the bridge. And as I was crossing over the bridge, I felt like I'm feeling like this is giving me a feeling like this is just great. Even though it was very warm that day, it was very, very warm. I couldn't even feel the heat. I just felt wonderful going across the bridge. And I thought, well, as I was leaving, let me take a picture of this because I do want to paint this bridge. And that is a painting from the picture that I took. 2 months later, I did have the picture painted. My husband told me, he says, wow, he says, I can't believe that you were able to do that from just looking at it and taking a picture of it. And he didn't even sketch anything on the canvas because he likes to monitor my work. He'll come in and what are you working on? What are you doing?
Right.
But I did some research about the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Because I felt so good coming across it.
Wow.
The Asian, let's see, I have some notes here. The Asian belief is that red has spiritual meaning. For bridges, it means wisdom and transformation for all that's sacred. And the red bridges are designed to help individuals feel one with nature. Mm-hmm. Crossing over symbolizes crossing over to a higher level of existence. That right there is why this is in the Juneteenth exhibition. Crossing over to a higher level of existence. It's what it's all about. When you receive your freedom, you feel that exuberance in crossing up.
Thank you very much. That's wonderful. I love how you have these two works in green, you know, the colors of the earth and growth. And then you also have the red, which you told us what that means for this. And it's and this little statue here, or that little building, what is that?
That is an Asian lantern. And
Okay.
usually there's a light inside, usually a little fire going inside. You know, in the Asian countries, they'll put a fire inside that.
Okay.
And that represents light.
Okay.
Which is, you know, light in your heart, light in looking forward to the best things in life, that type of thing.
Okay. Thank you. Now, I want to just, I want to stay here. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Marsha? We have, like I said, we have each artist about 10 to 15 minutes. That includes the questions, because we have a lot of artists today. So does anybody have any comments that you can give to Marsha that you see in her work, that you want to express how you feel about it, or any questions you have, technical or otherwise? And if you do, you can just unmute yourself and ask. D'Andrea has a question. She has her hand up. Go ahead.
Yes, hello everyone. I did write something in the chat, and I'll just read to Marsha what I wrote. Okay. Marsha, you make misery look like vibrant discord in some sort of dimensional sense. And I enjoy looking at this piece, the colors, the lines, and the angles. And I also wrote, with regard to the piece with the red bridge, that I quoted you, crossing over to higher level of existence. This is very stirring to me. So I appreciate your work, and thank you for sharing it.
Wow. Thank you. You're welcome.
Very good. Thank you, D'Andrea. Does anybody else have a question or comment? Go ahead, Caroline.
Okay, Marsha, the thing that surprises me is how well you've done both something more sort of abstract, if you will, and realistic. I mean, one thing that was without any visual reference. I mean, you did that really well. That's a very hard thing to do. And then you're able also to look at something and make it correspond to what you saw. So that's a pretty unusual ability to have both of those.
Well, thank you so much. As I said, I'm still coming along. I did learn as I looked into my ancestry that my grandfather was a stonemason, and that within itself is a hard thing to do. You know, rocks and more rocks. But my mom had told me a long time ago, I was a little seamstress, that you have an ability to. I didn't know what she meant, but I think I know now. So thank you for your comments.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Any other questions for Marsha? All right. Let's ask. Thank you, Marsha. Thank you so much. This is beautiful. I had a question. You had said about the lines, right? So let me click on here again. And let me click on the eye for information. And you have here the acrylic on canvas, but you called it a certain kind of line. What was that called again?
It's Zentangle. It's Zentangle.
Can you explain to us what exactly Zentangle means?
A man and his wife
No. I mean, when you're applying, as in, I'm thinking of it some kind of a string that you stick on, but I'm probably wrong.
No, no,
But what?
no, no.
Okay.
It's actual lines, and they're all different types of lines. If you look at this piece, you see the circles, then the
Right. Right.
circles, and then you see lines that just come together, and
Okay.
then
Okay. I
it's an
see.
entangled art.
Okay.
Mhm.
I see. I
Right.
understand now. Thank you. Thank you. Cool. All
You're
right.
welcome.
I learned a new word, centangle. Okay, so now we have.
Okay. My name is Gary Nichols. I'm a painter currently living in Brooklyn, New York. I was born in Hobart, Tasmania, and I lived there for the first 20 years of my life before moving to the mainland. I studied in Sydney at an art school 10 years after leaving high school. And from there moved to London and then to New York after a year of travel. I studied in New York for 7 years, and then married and stayed here, raised a family. But Tasmania keeps drawing me back. Its history, its landscape, its color, its culture, and its you know ugly history as well as its beautiful history. And I didn't discover it till I moved away from it. So I found in the early 90s more literature about my background whilst living in New York than I ever would have had done so if I'd stayed living in Australia, especially Tasmania. Um, I was drawn to history partly because my uncle Norman Laird had been collecting scrap and making scrapbooks of the history of Tasmania and the First Nations people, which we referred to as Aboriginals up until more recent times. First Nations is the most appropriate name. If I refer to them as Aboriginal people, it's just because it's easier to say so. So in 91, when I returned to Tasmania from New York after studying here for 7 years, I got reacquainted with my Aunt Hazel, who was Norman's wife, and she showed me his artwork, his collection of notes and articles, and on the Aboriginal people, and his films, his paintings, and his political actions. So it all tied into with my action, my history as well. I was amazed. What I decided to do from there, after finding a way to employ the information I'd gathered in Tasmania at my aunt's house. By then, Norman had died 10 years earlier. But I employed information I gathered at her house, an article she gave me, and information she gave me. And I just realized that I'm going to read this statement now. I think it'd
Okay.
be more appropriate.
Okay.
Looking at the first image here, it's part of a collage drawing series inspired by the struggles of Aboriginal people living on the islands of Bass Strait. Bass Strait is the body of water between Tasmania, the island, and the mainland of Australia. This group represents a synthesis of political motivations, empathy, interest in history, narrative, and use of materials that I've been exploring in my work for a long time. I've used charcoal drawings transcribed from nature with portraits of Aboriginal families collaged into the plant shapes, symbolizing regrowth. My intention is to celebrate the survival of these families and bring more attention to their lives and their culture. Following a massive and systematic attempt to destroy this culture, these Aboriginal people were exiled in 1800s by the Tasmanian government to live permanently on 3 small islands in the Furneaux group on Bass Strait, Flinders, Cape Barren, and Clark Islands. Through initial attempts at annihilation, then neglect through isolation, the government sought to control contact with these people's stories. For approximately 100 years, through the school system, the press, rumor, and by complete omission, mainland Tasmanian white people were misled to believe that the Tasmanian Aboriginal people no longer existed. In public school in Hobart, I was actually told by my history teacher that it was the, quote unquote, the most successful genocide in history, end quote. The Aboriginal people were living parallel but very isolated lives off the north coast of Tasmania on those Furneaux group, Flinders, Cape Barren, and Clark Islands. Followed along, they were resigned to being extinct because they were isolated, neglected, and told they were, and the population of the white population of Tasmania were just told so. I don't remember reading anything until the 1970s, and I'll get to that in a moment. At this time, these non-existent families mobilized to march on the city of Launceston and declared land rights for people, land rights for blacks. Michael Mansell, a young Aboriginal man, presented a land rights petition to the Queen of England in Hobart, 1977. There are several sacred sites in Tasmania, like Oyster Cove, occupied since that time by Aborigines, whilst the government still denies them. The struggle for their land and recognition continues. I thought this story, and I've got some more information, would be could be connected to the Juneteenth history in this country. Until 1977, the only information that I could glean from that history was a skeleton hanging in the Tasmanian Museum in Hobart. I saw this skeleton of a woman when I was a child, and I wondered about it, but I was too young to question it, find out what it stemmed from. It turned out that that skeleton hanging in the Tasmanian Museum was of Trukanini, a woman who was, we were told, the last Aboriginal woman or person alive, and she died in 1876. Not so. She was not. And that skeleton, it took Michael Mansell and his brother Morgan Mansell actions to get that skeleton removed and buried after much protest. And I was too young to follow it at the time. I found out much more about it when I moved to the mainland, and then more so when I lived in New York. So hence, with this history, and I found it, I was impelled to just act on it and bring attention to it by using man who doesn't enter in Hobart.
I'm sorry, we're having a storm here and our Wi-Fi is going in and out, but you continue. I'm going to bring back up the visuals. Go ahead, Gary.
I don't think the world knows very much about this struggle in Tasmania. By the way, there are 4,000 Aboriginal people living today in various parts of Tasmania, on the island and the tiny islands off the coast of Tasmania where they were originally sent. They were that attempted annihilation and the reference to genocide gave historians a convenient way to describe what had happened to the people I'm talking about, was they were conveniently absent. And if you can't see them or can't hear about them or learn about them, because there were no history books covering the story, And then I have not been to King Flinders, Cape Barren Islands. And I went around them as a child on a boat, but we were told that we were not allowed to go on them, these islands,
Wow.
as children, which is untrue. But that was convenient. That was a convenience presented to children that I now challenge. My Michael Mansell, the young Aboriginal man who presented the petition to the Queen in '77, opened the door for all of us to learn more. And so from 1876 to 1977, as I said earlier, we were led to believe that Aboriginal people did not exist for 100 years. And I have collected a scrapbook of families through generations from the time that of 1870s to now. I can show you some of it. I'm not sure it'd be visible on the computer screen, but I can show you if it's appropriate. My scrapbook, I mean. What I've done here is find a way to make beautiful pictures celebrating the lives of the earliest representations of Aboriginal people described by the colonial artists, like the painting on the left here, or collage. It's a collage and a drawing. And the middle one being the only representation of a mother and child that I was inspired by Botticelli's Venus to put her in the center of a large leaf. If you look at the Botticelli Venus, you'll see the inspiration. And the painting on the right, the collage on the right, is one of the only surviving images from the colonial portrait painters that I could find. And I've also tried to describe it in a more as a beautiful image, but also not romanticize what happened to them. And also not to keep a certain kind of ugliness, which is what their lives were like. By the way, if you're wondering, the government of Tasmania, the white government, made a clear and methodical attempt to destroy the whole population of Aboriginal people all at once in a short period of time. They formed a line across the island, the south part of the island, soldiers, civilians, farmers, civilians, merchants with guns, moving north across the island, shooting every one of them they could find, until it was finally stopped by a man called George Robinson, who was a mediator between the government and the Aboriginal people. The Aboriginal people kind of trusted him because he was kind and tried to save them, but he couldn't save all of them. And we don't know the exact number originally, but there were 9 tribes in Tasmania, 9 tribes, 9 different languages. Some of the languages were, all of the languages were destroyed. Some of the people were led by young warriors in the northeast coast tribe, led by a young woman called Walia, died at the age of 26, leading her people against the white man who had guns, and they only had sticks and stones. But they were fierce. They were fierce, and they fought valiantly to save their island, save their people, save their forests, save the animals they hunted from extinction. And Walia, Trukanini, who was the last Aboriginal person who was recognized as a princess of the Bruny Island tribe. Her father, Wooredi, was killed by whites. And I celebrate his life as well in a large painting called Van Diemen's Land on my website. I celebrate the names of the leaders of the Aboriginal people who fought against the white man. Many of them are women. Walia was the most famous. Trukanini wasn't a warrior like Walia, but she fought in her own way, and she survived. Mathina, Wapiti, names of women who also fought. So they're all in the painting I mentioned, Van Diemen's Land. It's a large-scale painting. Those names are not represented here. These are collages I wanted to make of the earliest representation of the people I'm talking about. Like from 1802 to 1856, Tasmania was called Van Diemen's Land by the white people. Prior to that, we don't know. Now that in an attempt to recover Aboriginal culture and history in Tasmania, Tasmania is also called Lutruwita. Hobart, the capital of Tasmania, is called Nipalina. And in its attempt to bring attention to that Aboriginal history, Rocky Cape, one of the celebrated sites where people found, where people still are sitting, trying to get that sacred site back into the hands of the Aboriginal people, away from the white government. In the 1970s, the government of Tasmania denied the existence of these people. And so my older brother was included in that. So I argued with him about it later, more so later when I returned to Tasmania. He would have none of this history in his, he didn't want to acknowledge it. That's in my family. My uncle Norman studied this history and recorded it and collected articles from newspaper clippings from the mid 1980s and earlier. This article here, you can read the headline. An article from 1987, acknowledging what I'm talking about and describing the history that I learned about. Wow. So that was from the Hobart Mercury newspaper, and I have many articles like that from newspaper clippings. Wow. I collected books from the Tasmanian Aboriginal Centre in Hobart, and coincidentally, my sister Carol had two stepchildren, Andre and Nikki Sculthorpe, who are Aboriginal. Nikki and Andre introduced me to the Tasmanian Government Aboriginal Centre, and also their role in the involvement in trying to recover the Aboriginal language. The 9 tribes that were destroyed, 9 languages were lost. But out of that, they've found one unified language that they can now claim is an official language. That's Nikki and Andre's role in the group that functions out of the Tasmanian Aboriginal Centre in Hobart. So all the literature I found was from there, and the images I found from books there, and recordings, and first-hand information from Andre and Nikki, who are not only my sister's stepchildren, but their father was their father died. Remy died, but Heather Sculthorpe, their aunt, was the first Aboriginal barrister in Tasmania. So they're part of a well-known family, and so I talked to them as much as possible. So these collages are quite large. I think they're 25 by 19.5 inches each, and they look quite good on the walls. I'm really pleased to see the way they're presented here. So thank you, Carolyn.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you for this history lesson that we would never have known about, right? And I'm putting your website into the chat, and it's GaryNichols.com, 2 R's in Gary, and Nichols with Nichols, so that people who are interested can go on your website and find what you were talking about, the larger pieces and so forth. Maybe it's there.
That'd be great.
I'm sure So thank you so much, Gary, for sharing this valuable information of cultural history. Which I don't know. I know for me, I did not know about this until you shares it with us. Does anybody have any questions or comments that they'd like to share with Gary about his work and about what he's told us about what's happened in Tasmania? You can unmute yourself or raise your hand and just give some feedback or any comments. Was it helpful or things like that?
Just to reiterate, thank you, Gary. I was totally ignorant of this problem that you just explained to us. Gosh, it's sort of mind blowing in a way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It sort of reminds me also of the Native American Indians. What has happened. Of course, not exactly, but this genocide of a people and their culture and their languages and themselves, their bodies, just trying to be erased. It's just so Juneteenth, even though it talks about American history, we know that throughout the world it has been happening in different countries in different ways. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so happy that we have an international organization, so we can get some cultural enhancement and information that we can I don't want to say enjoy, but just feel more enriched, to know that we're not alone in the struggle. And it's nice to hear about the warriors, female, male, in their own way. They fought a good fight. And you really, really expressed well their fight. Thank you for that, Gary. Thanks a lot. I really, really appreciate that. And you're showing us something. What is that?
Yes. Before we go, this in 1992, a documentary film was made called Black Man's Houses, and it was shown in New York. And it's about the survival on the islands off the coast of Tasmania of people that survived the genocide plus the attempted genocide, and also it goes through and meets people that live on these islands, called Black Man's Houses.
Okay, I'll put it in the chats. Just
1992 was filmed. I don't know how you would access it, but there it is.
Okay.
If you want to try.
Okay, I mean, it's good to have the title of the book, right? And it's called.
It was a film.
Oh, it's a film. So, but what you're holding up there was what?
It's a program. It was a program from the film showing in New York.
Okay, and it's called Black Man's
Houses.
Yes. Okay, and this was a film.
Yes, covering the history I've been talking about up until the 80s and early 90s. Around the early 90s.
Okay,
produced
great.
in 1992.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I put the title of the film in the chat just so people can see.
Thank you.
Right. Are there any other questions or comments for Gary? All right. So we're gonna.
Well,
this is Juba.
Gary, I want to come to Brooklyn and hug you. I'm a New Yorker anyway, but I want to come to Brooklyn and hug you. So
please do.
When we all meet, everybody gets a hug. And Gary, I'm going to come to Brooklyn and hug you one day.
I'd like that. Thank you.
Isn't working because if you all had been able to see my face while Gary was presenting his work, it might not have been nice. So I think it's the best that my camera isn't working today.
All right. Thank you, Tanjaya. Wow.
Appreciate that a lot. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Wow.
This is Juba. Gary, I just want to say thank you. I'm a storyteller living here in New Mexico. And when I tell stories to children, I tell them history is his story. What is your story? You must know your story. I had no idea what was happening or what has happened to these people. So thank you so much for bringing it to light so that we can, I'm like the other lady. I wish I was in New York so I could hug you and say thank you. And I just want to say, God bless you. God bless you for what you're doing. Keep on keeping on and keep enlightening us and sharing your light. That is your purpose. That's why you are here. So thank you so much.
Wow.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And Sunny put in the chat, I think because her audio isn't working, she says, thank you, Gary, for sharing this part of Tasmanian history that needs to be heard as it does throughout the world. So that's from Sunny Franson. Yeah.
And Gary, I just want to say thank you. I didn't know any of this. This is a very good lesson today. Thank you so much. Your work is beautiful.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And Janet Belgrave says, this is amazing, Gary. I know so little about the Aboriginals and none about Tasmania. I am so enthralled by your knowledge, and you're telling us some of their history that has inspired you, and you're telling the story in your artwork. So that's from Janet Belgrave.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right. All right, John, I'm gonna hand over the microphone to you. Just tell us a little bit of where you are, where you've come from in your art career, and what are these 3 paintings or drawings, charcoal drawings about? Let me click on one of them. Let's see here. Let me just look and see. Okay, so these are all paintings, acrylic paintings. Okay, great. Okay, so let me back up. All right, the floor is yours.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So my name is John Anderson. I work under the name of John 316. All my work is pretty much biblically based. I'm from Washington, D.C., working out of the suburbs of Beltsville, Maryland. Most of my career is in commercial art, as art director for magazines. And I'm just starting, I guess, since, 2015 or whatever, started moving into the fine arts space. So this is a part of a series called Be Not Ashamed. Each one of them have a scripture for a title. The first one there is Galatians 5:13. The second one is John 8:36. And the last one is Galatians 5:1. Pretty much all I'm talking about being free from slavery, being free as a person. And that's it. Straightforward to the point.
Very good. Well, I have a question for you, John. I'm going to just back out so everybody can see all 3 here. Now you have all of these have their faces covered either with their garment or their hands, right?
Yep.
Right, but their arms are being shown. Their arms, their hands, their hair, right?
Yep.
And they're all about it. Very, very consistent, very wonderful. Galleries would love you because one of them is consistent. It's not all over the place. It's just so when people see it, they're like boom, 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 boom. 1, 2, 3. So and the color scheme is minimal, right? So you don't give a whole bunch of different information, but you do give direct information. So I'm gonna go to this one, the first one, and you can see, let me just, so everybody can really see the acrylic, the textures that you have in the hair, right? And how you've been very careful with the line, right? I'm gonna go up a little more, right? And
so this is a lot different from my normal style because I'm a portrait artist. I pretty much love to draw the face. So in this series, I did a series of 50 paintings. So I got 50 in this series, but it's only 3.
Wow. Wow.
All of them
Wow.
are covering their face.
Right. Now, before you give me the skinny on why their faces are covered, right? Because I know there's a story there, right? And these are all 20 by 16 acrylic, right? And I'm just going to read this last one. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery. So tell us, but tell us why all of their faces, because I've seen your work, and yes, this is the first time you've covered everybody's face.
So
is it just to do something different, or is there some other hidden reason?
well, the whole series, like I said, is called Be Not Ashamed. So everybody has something to be ashamed of, or thinking they have being guilty or something, and they cover their face, covering themselves. But in this series, I'm almost saying the opposite. You don't have to be, covering your face. You don't have to be living in the darkness. You don't have to be that. You can come out. So that's it.
Very, very, very straightforward. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, audience, let's hear it. What feedback can you give John? You can unmute yourself and let us hear it. Or you can ask him any question that you may have about his works.
Hello?
Yes, that's Wendy.
Hi, John.
Hi, Wendy.
Oh, I'm sorry, DeAndre. Huh?
Okay, you go first, Wendy, then Dandre will go.
Okay. I love the black and white, and it's got just a soft, for me, a very soft and appealing effect. And it's like you said, it's related to the Bible, and where they're hiding themselves, and like hiding their faces, and what do you call it, of their experiences they've been through. And I just love the artwork, and I think it's very well done, and it's a very good sequence, excellent sequence.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you. Dandrea?
I agree with Wendy with everything she said. I really dig the sequence, and the subject matter, shame, reminds me of two things. One, I have a book called My Folks Don't Want Me to Talk About Slavery. And the book basically is about people who's has relatives who were enslaved, and they feel ashamed about it. And the other thing that this series reminds me of is just today, I saw an interview clip of Don Cornelius, and Don Cornelius is the gentleman who was responsible for Soul Train, which was a dance program on Saturdays that ran from the 70s into, I think, the early 90s. But early on, there were critics of Soul Train, and there were people, black and white on both sides, who were criticizing Soul Train and saying that it was demeaning to the image of black people, and Don Cornelius stood up for that. And so on many levels, different levels, there is shame that is cast on others. And so this resonates with me on those two levels. And plus, well, basically that's it. That's it. I dig the texture that you put in the hair. And they actually look like black and white photos. I don't see any brush strokes or anything like that. And from what my son tells me, hands are not an easy thing to paint, draw, and the hands really look good. They look realistic. Yeah, they look realistic. So kudos to you, and thank you for sharing it. It's stirring.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you, Dondria. Very, very good feedback. Anybody else would like to share their comments with John about these three? I'd like to go ahead. Go ahead. Frank?
Yeah, I love the realism of the paintings, but one of the questions I just wanted to ask John if he, in that series that he made of the 50 paintings, was one of them, did one of them have a hoodie?
No.
And covering?
Nope. Nope. I was trying to think. I don't think so. Nope.
No?
Nope.
Just wondering. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think what he wants to cover is the face, not so much the head, right? Right. Right. Wow. But that's a good question, Frank. That's a good question. Yeah. I think the idea of shame is very deep because number one, it's almost as if slavery and what they were saying why we should be slaves is something to make us ashamed about even being born, to battle any semblance of shame. You know, killing somebody, yeah, that's something to be ashamed of. You know, doing harm to others, that's something to be ashamed of. Killing somebody for, I don't know, I want to say you're doing it in self-defense. If there's no other way to protect yourself but to kill the other person, maybe there's another way to do it. I don't know. But I think besides that, there's no reason to have that shame in life at all. I really like how this series has brought up the whole topic of shame. So that's my 2 cents. So thank you, John.
Thanks.
John, this is Mark Rainey. When I look at these, hi, Carolyn, how are y'all? Hi, folks. Sorry I'm late. Excuse me. John, when I see the faces being hidden, I think about the shame that anyone has, but also when we hide our faces, sometimes because we can't see, we think that other people can't see us. And I think that's a tragedy in the societies that we live in. I see those faces hidden, and sometimes I live in Kalamazoo. Sometimes I drive down the street and I see homeless people and I glance at them. And even though they do not have their hands over their face, they're invisible. They're invisible to people. Yeah. And I think the power behind what you have in your pieces here resonates that no, hiding your face and being ashamed doesn't have to be an option. And on the other side of this, those of us that are viewing your paintings, there shouldn't be any option to how we respond to a person who is going through the emotions that you have placed in your paintings. I really like your work. I love this. It's dramatic, it's powerful. And if people don't get slapped in the face by looking at this, then they're not getting it anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Wow, wow. Great feedback, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you. So we go from the black and white to the very colorful, right? And so, Wendy, tell us where you're calling from. Where are you now?
Well,
And
I'm
tell us about
living
your
in
artwork.
what it called. So, as far as my background, my grandmother was Austrian, and my grandfather was Russian, and they had to escape because of genocide. And I don't know if it's a true story or not, or if it was made up for me. Apparently, they had long Russian names, and they saw a billboard, and they named themselves after billboard Kraft. But I don't know if it's true, but that's what they told me. So they went through a lot of oppression and poverty and a lot of suffering, even when they came to the States, because they were not educated and were not able to get work. And the work they had was minimal and could barely afford. And they lived in Brooklyn, Avenue Z, most of their lives, what do you call it, but had suffered, but were happy to come to American after all the sufferings. And my art is first picture is the colors of African colors and the showing of an African American having his chains lifted off it, no longer chains, feeling happy, and the past on the bottom of the cotton fields. And it's acrylic. It's 16 by 20 by 24, and it's just he's smiling because finally, after all these years of suffering and all the atrocities that and oppression and agony that the African American went through, there's finally hope and faith and a release, an outlet to a better life and a sense of freedom. And basically that's what it is. And I made him the colors of Africa and what do you call it? To portrait what was very, the essence is him and the act of being freed and overcoming slavery.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, the second one, I don't know if you could see on the bottom, but there's two people abstract. This is a acrylic pour, and it's 16 by 20 by 24, I think. And there's two people. It's called The Kiss because it's an explosion of passion and overcoming. We're now a sense of equality and being able to express yourself through the colors that I felt, and what do you call it? Being able to show that people really so well. But there's two people on the bottom showing together abstract, just their heads.
I see this one at the bottom corner here. Yeah. I can't make out the second.
Okay.
Maybe
okay. Okay. Oh.
And
it's
then
tiny on the right. If you see it live, you can see it.
Okay. Okay. Very good. And the last one, colors bloodshed.
Okay.
My connection is so bad.
Yes. Yes. That's another on the atrocities that the people have experienced: the lynching, the slavery, the anger, and the dominance, where they are controlled and are not able to be and do what God has wanted every human being to do. And the blue is washing away that violence and cleansing. It's like a cleansing and a rebirth where now they have overcome and they have able to go against and find peace, and the blue washes away all that, the past, and brings you to the present, and hopefully to one day where everybody in this will be free in the future.
Nice, nice. Thank you, Wendy. Does,
Yes.
does anyone have feedback for Wendy? Or questions?
Can you hear me?
Yes, that sounds like Bill.
Yeah, so this is me. How you doing?
Hi, Bill.
I think your work is beautiful. I love the abstracts. I love
Thank
the
you, Bill.
you use. It has a fantastic feel to it as far as and your stories are amazing. I think you did an excellent job in portraying your and the beauty of your paintings.
Thank you so much, Bill. I really appreciate it.
Very nice, very nice.
Thank you.
Looks like it's got a lot of texture to it, I guess, on the canvas.
Oh, yeah. It's a double texture paint. On the last one is double textured, and the cotton comes out. You can actually touch it.
Wow. How long did it take you to do each one of the, especially this one with the red?
That took me quite a while. A couple of weeks, and then I went back to it and went over it again, and the colorings, to get the greens and the reds and so it took me a couple of weeks to do it, and back to do a little bit of touch up on it. Yeah. See, yeah, even with the acrylic pour, you have to definitely have a feeling and a direction of where your colors are going to be placed and how to place your colors and how to move your colors. So you have movement, like you can see the little bit of yellow is moving from the brown, and also texture. So it's a lot of manipulation and a lot of different techniques you use with the acrylic pour. It's I don't know if you ever know about it, but there's all different styles you can do.
Right.
Yeah.
I paint like that. Also, in doing these paintings, they're beautiful. But I'm just curious, when do you decide that you've done enough and you're finished?
Well, first of all, I paint on the floor because I have a very small place.
Okay.
And so I can't paint on an easel. And with me, I just have a sense feeling. It's just a sixth sense that I have, that I think is why I am creative, is that I have a very sixth sense with colors, and also a sense of when, okay, this is it, this is done. It's just like I don't know how to explain it. It's like a natural thing.
Sometimes
I don't know. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you. Thank you. All right.
Beautiful.
Dan? Yes.
Okay. Do you hear
Sorry,
me saying the colors of Africa? I find that stirring because your use of symbolism, the cotton, the outline of the man being released of chains, and even the paint drips, like the yellow paint drips, expresses like a new beginning or liberation to me. I have a question. You said the cotton, you didn't say that you used real cotton, is that right?
No, I was thinking of actually I was thinking of using real cotton, but instead I just piled on paint. So it's got like lots of layers, so you can touch it.
Okay. And is that barbed wire that's those lines, is that barbed wire?
Well,
that's going through?
It's actually like a chains, a link, but yeah, it's a link of chains, but barbed wire is also very symbolic.
Not these up here, which is the chains of link.
Oh, I don't see.
No, on the bottom.
At the bottom.
Oh yes, going through the cotton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
That's
barbed
like a
wire?
little bit. Yes, that's also like a little bit of barbed wire. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did it so
I
long.
dig
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, I dig
Yeah.
that because it's not that obvious. You have to really
Yeah,
look
I
at
know.
it.
It's hard to see it.
Yeah.
No, I dig it because it's not that obvious. You have to
Oh,
really look at it
yes,
to
yes.
notice it.
You're right.
So I appreciate your story and
Thanks.
the work. The dripping paint, really, I dig that a lot.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So here we have your piece. So tell us just a little bit about yourself, Mark, and then we can get into this. You have one piece in the show.
Okay. Yes, my name is Mark Greeny. I live between Kalamazoo and Battle Creek, Michigan. I live right in the middle in a little village that we just love. I grew up in Mississippi, but when I was 18, Uncle Sam had much more adventurous activities for me. So I was drafted. I went into the Air Force and spent 4 years during the Vietnam era in Michigan. I went temporary duty a few times, but 4 years in the state of Michigan. So when I uh, finished my tour of duty, I went in art education. At that time, Southern was one of the few universities that their education department had a degree specifically for art education. So once I graduated and started looking for a job, the very place I said I would never go back to, I ended up at, and that was in Saginaw, Michigan. And I spent 20 years working there as a art teacher, school administrator, elementary principal, assistant superintendent, all of those things. And then we moved to Kalamazoo, and I spent another 17 years with a county school district, and that was really about professional development. And after that, I went over to Western Michigan University and worked with them for a few years, and then went to the Michigan Department of Education. And when they talk about the chairs that you sit in during your life, I've sit in a lot of chairs. Some of them have been beautiful, beautiful chairs. Others have been pretty rickety chairs. But I've always loved art. Art was the thing in my life. And this particular painting, growing up in the South in the 60s, I witnessed a lot of things that bothered me, a lot of things that bothered our community, bothered our state, bothered our world. And that was the impact of racism and the fact that one group could control another. And today, when I hear when America was great again, I remember back when America was great for some people, but it was not great for most of our country. So this is a field where a family is picking cotton. You can see in the background, there's the church. There was always that strong connection between the church, between slavery, between being free. And it always concerned me that we've never been great for everyone. Maybe America was great for a couple of people. Maybe it was great for the guy that you see the silhouette there, the man that's probably telling these people, I'm here to protect you, but if you run away, I will shoot you. And that is part of what I think of when I hear, let's make America great again. If this is what great again is, please don't make it this. And I've been working on a series. I've got a couple of other paintings that I'm working on right now. One is on the Japanese internment, and the other is on our Native Americans and their atrocities. So America was not always great to everybody. And you notice that I do what I call Easter eggs. I will hide little things that I want people to find on their own. If you look way in the background, you can see there's a blue crucifixion back there. And in the foreground, uh, there's the Bible, and there's the red hat. Now, you can interpret those any way you want to, but for me, they represent symbols of oppression. And we have to figure out, how do we make the Bible work? How do we make our society work? Because right now, lots of things are not working well. Now, this painting, actually, I did the painting. You can see the frame, the pine frame around it. But then I took another photograph of the original painting and I placed it on a wall and I put the other information around it. So this might be, you would walk into the living room of someone and see this painting hanging, but you all might almost, you might see a Bible, you might see a hat, but there's a lot of things in this painting that I want people to recognize. The young man, if you could zoom it in on the necklace he's wearing, that's a Gucci. It's a little hard to see, but in the original, it's the logo for Gucci. Gucci wasn't around when this young man was out in that cotton field, but he still had dreams, had dreams. So my paintings can be a little controversial at times, but I guess it bothered me when somebody didn't like my painting when I was in my 20s. Today at 77, if you don't like my painting, then go down to Hobby Lobby and find something hanging back in the crafts department and hang it up, because I do my paintings because they have statements. They're not there just to be flowers to match the couch.
Yeah.
So
wow. Thank
that's
you.
pretty much my story. If there's any questions or comments or anything, I'm really open for any of that.
Cool. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Yeah, guys, any feedback or comments for Mark?
Mark, I always liked this painting, and and it tells a true story, and you did a wonderful job as far as portraying it and explaining what the images are, and hoping to see some more work like what you're doing now that you created. That's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful piece. That's a nice piece.
Mark, I think
Mark,
Juba wanted to say something. Thank you, Bill. Juba?
Thank you. Mark, I really like your painting. I'm from Mississippi. My parents were sharecroppers, another form of slavery. So I can readily identify with this picture. I think that paintings and pictures like this is they speak to everyone. But it gives us a chance in America is that we have not talked about race, and we haven't. And until we do that, there's no way. America will always be great for only certain people, not for everyone. I see a lot when I see this picture. So I think that it's great to have a discussion, for other people. This is going to prompt people to have a discussion. What do you see? Who can you identify with? What stories have you heard? So I really like this. Thank you for sharing this and thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that feedback. I want people to have an experience when they see this. Sometimes it's going to be good. Sometimes it may be something else. Yes, I believe.
Andrea wants.
Dr. Ray, do you hear me? Does everyone hear me?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because it's storming here also.
Yeah.
The man with the gun, is that that's not painted on, is it? Is that some type of an applique, or how did you do that? Because he's a little invisible, and I like the suggestion of that he's there, but he's not there. It's like a looming figure. You know, it's fear, even though you don't see what you're fearing.
Yeah, I wanted him to be a little transparent because the people in the field, he's there to make sure that they're okay so they can do the work. That's the bottom line. He is part of the plantation system that makes sure that this family meets the quota for the day, that their cotton bag has to amount to this much, depending on if you're a man or a woman or a child. And his presence is looming all the time. Even when he goes away, it is still there. And he is the caretaker, but he is also the enforcer. He's the enforcer. If anybody decides that I need to leave work early today to go take my child to the dentist, it ain't gonna happen on this plantation. So, but he's always there.
But how did you do that? Is he painted in, or
well,
is that as
it's a digital wash.
Oh, okay.
The work that I'm doing right now is digital, and sometimes I will go in and do some hand work on a painting, but this one is all digital. And
okay,
I used a digital application like a watercolor, and I would just build up the grays and the whites and the band that's in the hat, and then either the gun or the whip that he's holding in his hand.
Okay.
Those were all digitally done.
Did you say did you say that the painting was a painting and you took a picture of the painting and then you made a digital copy of it and then did the digital? So is the entire piece a digital, or is it?
The entire piece is digital.
Gotcha.
Wow.
What I did, I sent it away and had it reproduced on canvas with the pine frame, and then I laid that down on a white background, took a photo of that. Then I added When America Was Great. I wanted it to be in a graffiti, and the hat, the Bible, and the little round table. So the painting is actually a picture of the painting hanging in a person's house.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be
I dig that.
personal. So I've been experimenting with how do I get my work to look real, but also how do I get my work to make you walk into that painting mentally and start looking at it. Look at what's going on.
Right.
The young person in the back on the right, the young lady in the middle, the older woman, then the young man out in front there with cotton in his hand. I'm guessing I've got a good idea of where he would like to put that ball of cotton, but he knows he can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you accomplished that. Yeah, I like the way you layered it. Very, very, very stirring. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Any other questions for Mark before we move along to Clement?
It's beautiful. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you,
Oh,
Clement.
good, good, good. I was scared. I just want to say that is a very strong piece. I got to tell you, it's beautiful work, man. It tells the story, buddy. Believe me on that. It really does. So, and it was what's unique about it to me is not only the scenario, but looking at the back of this guy's head, and you put that in black and white somewhat with, I guess that's the rifle he's holding, and it's very stirring when you look at it from that point of view, looking at the back of his head in black and white, and everything else is in color. That part is just stirring to me. That really is a great piece. What's the size of that?
This is 32 by 36.
Pretty big piece. Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty good size piece.
Beautiful work, man. Beautiful.
Well, thank you, Clement. That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted you to be drawn into that.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, the original, when I did it, it was a rifle. And then as I played with it and I worked with it, I thought, wait a minute, this could be a rifle. This could be one of those carriage whips that were used to keep people where they were supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you, you hit the mark. And I tell you another stirring piece. The guy, it's interesting. I love the fact you put that. We didn't see it until you told us the Gucci. That is so cool. But the fact that he's staring at this guy, oh man, I don't even want to know what he's thinking, but that's a whole nother story there. That's another conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Beautiful, man.
Thank you, Clement.
All right.
He's saying, yeah, if you didn't have that gun.
Exactly.
Nice.
There's a lot of subtle little things there that I wanted my paintings. I want them to be like a book. You open up the first page and it just makes you want to go deeper, deeper, deeper.
There we go. Exactly. Oh yeah.
Cool. All right. Are there any other comments or questions for Mark? All right. So we're going to move along to, anybody else? Okay. Thank you, Mark.
I was just saying, thank you. Thank you, guys. I appreciate your feedback.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So let's go to Clement now. Clement. Yay.
That's scary. Okay.
Let me pull your work up.
Okay.
Clement, tell us a little bit like where you're from and.
Oh, yeah, here you go. Here comes the show and tell, you guys. All right.
Show and tell.
Born and raised in Washington, D.C. Love the D.C. Love D.C. Love my childhood. It was crazy growing up in Anacostia. That's a whole nother story.
We can't see your face. Are you sharing?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. My camera's not working.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that. My camera's not working. It's the weirdest thing. I can't figure out why, but it's not. I can't figure this out.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, born and raised in Washington, D.C., grew up in D.C., and art has always been the center of my life since I can't even, long as I can remember going to kindergarten. So that's been a part of my whole life, and it's been the center of my life, really. And started drawing and painting my whole life, but then not until I got into high school, I started playing with oil painting. And that's when I really fell in love with oil painting. But then after high school, got a scholarship to go to college in upstate New York, RIT, Rochester Institute, and graduated in industrial design, got a job and working. I've been pretty much working as a graphic designer since then. But after the 8 to 4, I just been kind of building this back up because the good Lord is just saying, look, I don't care what you got to do. I want you to get this artwork done. I said, okay, all right. So this is pretty much it. But so if you go to my website, I started this as a series of there's some artwork that was done for music, but I was doing a 5-painting series. This is 3 of them in portraits and history. And the history part is, again, before, obviously, during the slavery times. And this particular piece that we're looking at is called Juneteenth. And this is just a celebration in my mind of that day when they found out 2 years later or 3 years later, I'm not sure when that was, that they were actually free. And this pretty much is just a scenario of just building up of the celebration of that day and just the happiness of it and the thrilling of it and everything that went on that day when they found out about it. Again, this is all oil painting, but it's the actual piece is 36 by 48. It's a pretty big piece. Mm-hmm. So that's the whole story behind this one. And that is the key to this one. If you want to go to the next one, then this particular one, I don't know what this came out of nowhere in my head. It was like, okay, children, no matter where they're born, no matter what situation they're in, no matter what scenario is going on around them, they don't have a clue for the most part of what's happening, but it's the pure joy of who children are and what they represent to the world and how they truly are God's gifts to the world. They really are. But this particular one is signifying that, but I couldn't make them all happy. If you look at the one to the far left, he's aware of his whole situation, of what's going on around him. But that pretty much is what the significance of this painting is just the pure joy of children. And children have this abundance of just life that is just, and you pray that it stays with them for the rest of their lives, that addictiveness of just being happiness and joy, of just simply being alive. But that pretty much is what this particular painting tells the story of. And if you go to the next one, this one is pretty obvious on what's going on. And this is a female who is just really, she has nowhere else to turn but up. She has nowhere else to turn but to the Creator to say, okay, I need you. I want you. I want to change this situation. I want to be out of this. I need your power. I need your faith. I need your love to move me forward in this thing called life and during this time frame. Mm-hmm. And again, as children, these two children represent the fact that they are reacting to her without understanding what's going on. They're just knowing that their mother is just in anguish of what's going on. And the only way she could turn is up. And that's the whole significance of this painting. Again, all three paintings are the same size. They're 36 by 48. And it's all oil painting. So that is my story with the three of these.
Wow. Wow. Beautiful, beautiful. Mm-hmm. Okay, guys, do you have any questions, comments, feedback, gloriation?
Oh, yeah.
For Clement.
Very nice work.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Love your style. I mean, as far as how you depict the people, their images, and your facial structure, and it's almost this picture that she's showing right now. Again, the lighting is just. Are you just doing this out of your head, or you have an image, or you've drawn it before, or?
Yeah, no, I
do it on canvas.
It's all on canvas, but it's a whole story before it even gets to the canvas. I mean, I spend a lot of time doing a lot of illustration, a lot of drawing before I get to that set. I start out with like a 10 by 14 inch image. And then once I think I got it, I'll create multiple images at 36 by 48 with pen and pencil.
Okay.
And I go over and over that again to get the positions of where, because the thing is, you know, obviously if you work with oil, you have to know, it's almost like you're going from a background to a foreground. Right. So you gotta, and for me, it helps me out to know where all the pieces are. So I'll know I need to start with the background first. Then you need to start with the people in the background first. And then you build it up from the background to the foreground. So doing that illustration is vital for me. I very rarely work just hitting the canvas and going to it. I need to start learning that and practicing that to do that. But for me, that's kind of how I work.
Do it that way. It's more like an illustration type of technique that you're doing.
Yeah. Well, it's just pencil. It's just basically blue pencil on a white sheet of paper. I work primarily in blue pencil.
I like your use of the lights and the darks as far as you created the feel of the and you know, shading and lighting does make the images, and your images just look so kind of so natural, and the light that seems to, the highlights are flowing, giving the image a lot of feel to it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, in my mind, for me personally, that's really the key to a piece that's working for me. Is that I need to know where the light source is, because the light is going to dictate where the dark is going to be.
Excellent job on that.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Right with the guy, the bald-headed guy, and the highlights and the shirt and the way you did the head, it's amazing. Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you very much.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
All your pieces, I've seen your pieces throughout, you know, dealing, and you just got a nice feel. I like how you do your images. And
thank you very much. I really appreciate that, Bill. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I got a good time. I have a good time. I'm trying to stay out of jail. That's all.
I'm a street kid from New York City, so I understand.
You know what I'm talking about. You know what's up.
You know. Yeah, I know.
You know. I ain't got to tell you, man. That's right.
I've been around this block a few times now.
That's right. That's right. I'm trying to be an honest man. That's what I'm trying to do. But the real key to all of it, though, to me personally, on who we are and what we do, man. For me, I can't speak for all you guys, and I can hear it in your voices, and I don't want to speak for anybody, but it's all about the maker, man. It's about the creator. That's why we're here. That's why we do what we do. Yeah. And when you have pieces that people can just dig deeper into themselves, to learn more about themselves and get closer to him, if you've done that with a piece that you view with mine, then I've succeeded. Outside of that, everything else is gravy. You know?
I understand.
That's it.
Very good. Very nice.
Clement, on a technical observation, I love your work. You outdo yourself. Every time I look at a piece of your work, I'm like going, oh my God, you capture it. But the way you use the arms and the hands and the fingers to have direction, you're moving people into the painting, out of the painting, back into the painting. And then all of a sudden, the spirituality of all of it comes forward.
That's what I want. Thank you, man.
I agree. I agree.
And it's not overwhelming. It's not like the lady in the back with the Bible. She is not beating you over the head with that Bible. She's holding that Bible to her breast, saying, this is love.
That's it.
And everybody else is celebrating. They're celebrating the freedom.
That's it.
But they're also celebrating the spirituality of a family in a gathering, celebrating freedom.
Yes. That's exactly.
Powerful stuff, man. Powerful stuff.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. That's exactly what I'm trying to get to. If you can get to the creator through this, look, I'm more than happy. I'm more than happy. That's it. Yep. Telling you. Thank you.
And so his website is ClementBryantFineArt.com. I'm putting it in the chat. That's right, Clement?
That's it. You got that. That's it.
All right. There we go. So that's it. Everybody can see it. All right. We have.
I just wanted to echo Bill when he says talks about the lighting. That's what really stands out to me, the lighting, and the detail in the body movement, the motion. You can feel the motion, or I can feel the motion. I can feel the dance. I can just get in there and dance with them.
Oh, yeah.
So I wanted to echo that. And when you said that this is oil and this is 36 by what? 36
48.
by what?
48.
Yeah. I said, damn, okay. Excuse me. Okay? Excuse me. But that's what I said. That was my knee-jerk reaction. So I'm enjoying this.
Thank you very much. This has been a great gathering to hear you guys talk about all the artwork, all the artwork. Love hearing about it. It's really what's really cool about this is hearing the artists talk about what's going on. That's what I love, it, man. I'll see a piece and you guys have brought pieces up, but when you guys start talking about them, I'm thinking, oh wow, now I get it. That's the best part about this, man. I love it. So I'm sorry, you guys. I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
Cool. I love how you have the detail of the cotton back here too. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that right there. And then some of the people bending over. This one has it on his shoulder.
Oh yeah. That's a hard time for a lot of people, man. But without their faith and without the love for God, I don't know how you get through that. I don't know how you do it. But
even the logs, the lines in the logs, the cracks, and then it looks like the hole in the ceiling up top, so the light can shine in. And this one's hair and her eyes twinkling, little girl.
Yeah.
You know, and this one, I love this guy here. He's like WTF.
Exactly.
And the rest of them are just like, wow. He looks like he's gonna be the troublemaker. He said WTF, you know. And I love it's just a joy to just look at the pieces, you know.
Yeah.
And I have this one in the background of our website.
Yeah.
For the web page, right?
Cool.
You know, and
That's
what
cool.
I enjoy for this one is how you have the knots tied. The little the little lacing here.
Yeah.
And again, and also the biggest thing for me is even the instruments here you've got.
Yeah.
Right. And this one here, right?
Yeah.
So we could see you put a lot of research.
Oh yeah.
And pictures and drawings and to get it right. Just a lot of work. So
it was a lot.
You get a big hand clap.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I really appreciate all the comments. I really do. I appreciate everybody's artwork. I really do. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right. So Janie has 3 pieces here. I'm going to click on the center one and then back out so you can all see hers. Okay. So Janie, tell us a little bit about yourself and about these pieces.
Okay. Thank you. I apologize for being late. My life has been a Jackson Pollock painting in the last couple of years.
Wow.
I apologize for that. I'm an artist. I've been doing art for 47 years. I started off in when I was actually in elementary school. I got a hold of a Charlie Brown picture, and my teacher, to keep me from getting into trouble, had me do Charlie Brown paintings all around the school. And then when Franklin Armstrong came out, I just was lit on fire to do black art. Had my first show when I was 15 with my brother, who passed away last year, who was a professional artist who trained me. Went to college, got a bachelor's degree in fine art. I've worked with all kind of artists across the world. Michael Singletary. I've worked with Thomas Blackshear was my mentor for a while. So I've been at it for a little bit, but I still feel like I'm a toddler. All the accolades and that are important, but it's nothing compared to just really trying to find yourself as an artist and find your voice. And I'm still on a long journey of that. So recovering from cancer a few years ago, I'm still trying to get my footing back in being able to just create. So the first piece is found Alvin Ailey's Revelation. I am an old school breakdancer. I started breakdancing back in 1978, and yes, I was offended by the Olympics breakdancer. I think she did a horrible job, but I've always been fascinated with dance, and so I wanted to sort of recreate this that image of the movement. I think it's the first act, the last movement shows them lifted up hand. So that piece was called Revelations from Alvin Ailey. And I recently sold that piece, ironically enough, to a lady who was 100 years old. We had a birthday this weekend, and she was one of the original dancers back in the day with Cab Calloway and all those people. So it's kind of fascinating to see it go into the hands of someone who literally pioneered dance for African Americans. The second piece is called When We Got Freedom, and I've been fascinated with the impressionist artists over the years, and just the techniques of Renoir, Picasso, Pissarro, and I wanted to do something that sort of was just texturized, and so that's how the joy and the color and the feeling that I feel what it would be like if you spent, you know, all your life in slavery and just getting that moment where you find out that you have freedom. So that's that piece, the flowers and the glory of God around it. And the third piece is called This Is Us. I've done a lot of pieces from sharecropping, the whole, which Clements kind of nailed it. I'm nowhere near in that category trying to get it perfected like that. I wish I could one day, but I love his work. I'm still in a small journey of trying to document sharecropping and also Black Migration series, which I'm doing on African Americans going from down south up north. And so this piece is This Is Us, is that history and that moment, that impact of coming out of that and being able to be emancipated and having, you know, your own land. So it's the people in the back are symbolic of those who are still struggling. The couple in the foreground are people who are making those steps towards progress. And of course, the cotton things in the background. So that's my art in a nutshell. I guess I've been at it for a little while. I still have a long ways to go. And I'm also an author. I write books, and I try to combine my art and my writing, my poetry, my books, and my dance and my music all collectively. So that's kind of where I'm at. That's all I have to say about my artwork.
Wow.
Sorry about that. I'm not. I can talk a lot, but I'm usually pretty quiet, introvert. So if you have any questions,
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Does anyone have any questions for Janie, or feedback or comments about either of any of the paintings? Beautiful coloration also, I'd like to say. I just love the soft colors all across. Yeah.
Okay, Janie.
Yes.
This is Dandria. How are you? I am so grateful that you are championing your health, and I'm grateful for the expressions um, that you are putting in on your canvases. Your first piece, Revelations. I don't know where to begin other than when I was younger, I would say up until I was maybe in my 30s, I went to church, and in all those years, I never got the Holy Ghost.
Oh,
never.
wow.
It fascinated me, but I never got the Holy Ghost. Even when my favorite song came on, I never got the Holy Ghost, never got the Holy Spirit. And it wasn't until I started listening to certain music and looking at certain pieces of art that I began to feel the Holy Spirit. And when I looked at your Revelations, I knew what it was right away. And any image of Revelations gives me the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And I got that when I saw it, when I looked at the image when the Juneteenth exhibition was first put up. And so I really appreciated the warmth glow is really stirring. It's yummy. It's yummy. The warmth that you have there, that it's like an autumn warmth, that's yummy, you know, and so it adds to how it resonates with me.
Thank you so much.
The second piece, the second piece that you have, where you said that you were really taken by impressionistic work, I could see that. I can see that. And it looks like an Easter Sunday to me in impressionism. And I even appreciate seeing some brushstrokes, because I enjoy seeing brushstrokes in artwork. So I applaud you, and those are the two pieces that really resonate with me.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I have a long ways to go with it. I
Yeah.
Well, I can just say the one thing that's striking me about all three of them are the colors. I truly love all the colors. And the one to the left, the far one to the left, with them, all of them, what strikes me about that more than anything is that you got this gray background with this power of all that color on the inside of all of them. And you really feel like there is a sunburst over them that's coming down, man. That's a beautiful piece. I really love the piece itself, but I love the execution of the colors on that. That is really striking. I really like that. And even the other two, I really love the even just not just the colors on this, but the fact that they're all gathering and they're grabbing each other. That's what it strikes me more than anything. Even the colors. I mean, that strikes me even more, that they are together in this beautiful landscape. It's really, and the same with the other one. I love the colors on that and the gathering. It's the gathering of people, and it's the gathering of faith. It's the gathering of everyone coming together as one to try to get through something, and we need each other to do it. That's what I love about this particular piece. But she just beautiful work. I hope she hears me.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I have a storming where I'm at right now, so I apologize.
That's okay. Were you able to hear Clement's remarks?
No, I didn't, but that's okay. I want to say this. I've been involved with you guys for the last couple of years, and it's been a struggle, but every time I see everyone's artwork, it's more than an honor that you guys will ever know to participate with such a fantastic, amazing group of people, including Carol yourself, who've been so supportive. You guys are just world class. I mean, I'm humbled every time I've seen everyone's work, and it makes me just even energized to do more too. So it's my personal love for you guys, and just all the things I learned from the techniques and things that you do. I just personally want to say thank you for that. And thank you, Carol, for always being patient with my Jackson Pollock lifestyle of having everything except for cigarettes but rubbed into my life right now. It's been a real hard struggle and journal, but I appreciate you guys so much. I just wanted to say that.
Oh, you're welcome. And I speak, I'm sure, for everyone else who's here. We want you to stay healthy and to keep creating. Your work is just beautiful, just beautiful. And I'm happy that you were able to be a part of the exhibit, right? So any other last remarks? I see Michael. Michael, you've been so quiet. Michael Redmond. He spoke last month. Hi, Michael.
How are you?
All right.
And you can tell everybody that they can listen to the art as well as view the art.
That's right. That's right. That's right. He has his father's music in the show, right? Let's see. Thank you for a wonderful show. We have one more the next month on the 19th. We're going to have our last artist talk, right? So anyone who hasn't spoken, I hope that they agree to share about the background of their art and themselves, and that gives us another excuse to come together as a group, right? All right. Thank you, guys. I love you.
Thank you for all you do, Carol, and thanks again to everyone.
Amazing stories. Thank you very much.
All right.
Big kisses.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.